All right, guys, I really appreciate it. Really do appreciate everybody coming. It's tough when you get in a room with advanced people like these. I can't lie, right? In our pre-licensure classes, I can make up all kinds of stuff and teach people all kinds of things, and they'd have no idea, right? If I say something stupid, you guys are going to remind me why I'm here, right? So, even if I don't say something stupid, you're still going to remind me. This is why I love you guys. All right, Michael, thanks for coming. Yeah, there's some distinguished people in here. God, Joshua McKay and Michael, everybody is distinguished. But thank you all very, very much. I do appreciate it. So this is all about safety. Now, this was, Nathan's idea. We need the safety thing. So blame Nathan if you don't like this. All right, if you do, let me know. I appreciate it. This is using protection on your inspection. Come on, I made that up. I made that up all by myself. And I'm going to laugh all by myself. Man, hecklers in the front row. This is tough. Did I tell you all I'm a recent widower? We've been married so long, things change, right? When you're young and you go out to the clubs or whatever, and you had your pickup lines, or you had your stories or whatever. Now, like, we've been together almost 30 years, married 26. When I look at her and go, I vacuumed the whole house today. she go, ooh. It worked. Now, I don't want to be perceived as a sexist or anything. So for the ladies in here,
all right, that's where I leave.
Nathan approved this?
Nathan has no idea. So if I see him come around the corner, I'm going to change the slide really fast.
Oh, I took a picture already.
Damn, you guys are tough. You guys are really tough. Using protection on your inspection. First of all, this is going to be some of these things. Let me back up. It's really tough to take a subject like safety and make it interesting. So again, thank you guys for coming. Nobody even forced you. This is cool. So I've honest to God, done my best, and I had some great help from Michael earlier. Did he leave already?
That was fast.
Damn, that was quick. Had some help from him and picked up a couple other things. So let me know if I actually covered anything really cool, unique, you learned something. That makes me feel good. And if you've got some ideas, please let me know, because we'll be using this in other classes in the future. But number one is being aware of your surroundings. There's a guy, Jerry probably knows James Gante. Who doesn't, right? Yeah. Oh, that's right. Who doesn't know James Gante, right? James was actually on an inspection, and the way he tells the story, he's walking out, playing with a tool or something, doing something, walking out to the truck, and all of a sudden, and here's some punk with a gun at his head. He's like, dude. And he's like, give me your watch. And he's, fine, take it. And then he goes over to his helper in the back of the truck, does the same thing. James looks over, and there's a group of youths, watching, like this is some kind of little gang thing or whatever. What can you do in that situation? I don't know. That's another conversation. But being aware of your surroundings is huge. Had he seen it coming, maybe he could have done something else. We were on an inspection one time. I started to tell the story earlier. There's this. I've got a huge respect for everybody that was military, so thank you guys very much, and several of you were. And this guy, pretty big dude, ex-Army guy, and we're getting along real well. Good rapport, telling some stories, and I'm his buddy. And then his wife starts. He and his wife start arguing, and she's good, right? She's making him look like a schmuck in front of two other guys, and this is not cool, ladies, all right? This is not cool. and it was getting heated, and the conversation is like seriously elevated. I was in the attic. I could hear every word they're saying, back and forth, right? And it's getting worse. And back in the day, we used to take our laptop and put it in the kitchen and stand and type and do our reports in there. Now, the older you get, the knees hurt, the back hurts, the feet hurt, and now we sit in the truck and do it. It's a lot more comfortable. So we're standing there in the kitchen, and it's Ronnie and I, and he has tasks and I have tasks, and I'm standing next to him like, Ronnie, we need to probably wrap this up. Listen, we need to get going. He's getting upset. And I look over, and they're sitting there yelling at each other, and he looks at me and he goes, he's physically bowing up on me, and I'm like, holy crap, what have I done, man? We were just buddies. Ronnie, we got to go. Ronnie, we got to freaking go. Slap this thing closed, and we're leaving. And he does it again. We get in the hallway. We're on our way out, and he's bowing up at me. This kind of thing. I think if Ronnie was not with me, I would have gotten pulverized. So ever since then, I've always made it a point to always carry a thing of mace. Always, right? I've got other weapons, but they have much more serious outcomes. The mace is going to give me time to get my little butt out of there. So not a bad idea to carry a thing of mace. Everybody, no matter how big you are. Hank? And I tell you, somebody else in here has a great story too. Tony Burke's guy, Brandon, got jumped inside the house. I mean, you talk about some cojones. Oh my God! And he's, I guess, into some martial arts.
Black belt, yeah. But then he got jumped again afterwards because I'm like, leave, and he didn't leave. And then they came back again and got hit over the head with a 2x4. Bad news. So the whole point of the story is like, right? Be aware of your surroundings.
What area? What area?
The west side of Dayton. The main thing is knowing where the main shutoffs are. Okay? I mean, you're laughing. You probably got a story. You're going to have to tell me. Knowing where those mains are could be critical. Ronnie was in the attic one time with the pest guy, and they're crawling through, and it had a sprinkler system, not an irrigation system, a fire sprinkler system, right? And the pest guy stepped on the pipe and broke it. And we all know that this is under pressure, right? And it doesn't stop for any reason. That's its purpose to be there. And it was spraying all over the place. And old Ronnie, gets to the side. Never seen a young man move so fast to get out there and go find the water main, right? So you don't mentally know where that is, where the water main is, the gas main, the electrical main, all that stuff. Things could have gotten much worse. Make sense? Cool. If you do this, it makes you look sexy, guys. Watch this. Do that. Is that good? Is that good or what? And if you love your stuff, lock your stuff. Never leave here we go. I know I'm going to be hitting some chords with a lot of people, right? You ever had stuff stolen out of your truck? There you go. What's that?
Laptop.
Oh, man.
And I already locked that. Didn't. I don't know what happened.
That really sucks.
Not only lock your truck, keep it out of sight, because they don't care to break the window to take something.
Yeah, true. Yeah, don't leave the laptop on the seat up front, right? Cover it up.
It's not going to hurt the
Move it.
things to break the window.
Yeah, exactly. So keep your things locked up. We've had tools stolen on site. You walk back out and you're like, my stuff's gone. That really sucks. One thing, especially for my Florida guys, this is a staple. You must have wasp killer. You have to have wasp killer.
It's good for me as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. A
20 feet.
little harder to carry in your back pocket, but yeah, very good point. Could double as self-defense there as well. Has anybody ever found out that they were allergic to wasps or bees or whatever after they've been stung? Okay, I've heard it before. There you go, Miss Lindsay. I got muscle in the back of the room now. Beautiful. Okay, some electrical stuff.
If you don't know, don't acknowledge it because somebody in here is going to make fun of you. But metal stuff, you never just touch metal stuff, right? You never walk up to it and touch it because if it is energized, it can actually make muscles contract, right? So you could grab onto that electrical panel even tighter, and then muscles are all tense and you can't break yourself free. Make sense? Awesome, awesome. So there's a method of doing that and touching it with the back of your right hand. If it is energized, it would force your hand off and not clench. Make sense? Found that many times in my career. This is my 22nd year and found many things energized. Or who hasn't found something energized that shouldn't be energized? Nobody? Come on. Okay, we've got a few stories. Beautiful.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
The question is, why can't you use your left hand?
Why can't you use your left hand? Good question. Why shouldn't you use your left hand? Hank!
Wedding rings.
That's why you never wear them.
You know, that's actually a good one we could add. A year or so ago, I went with the silicone. Love this thing. Love the silicone. It's so much more comfortable. I don't have to take it off going to the gym or anything like that. Good one. Plus, I think using your right, it's a longer path through your heart kind of thing. Yeah, so back of your right hand. PPC, God bless you. How many people actually use PPC? Just say it for the camera. Absolutely. All right, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. There's a plethora of stuff, whether it's electrical safety thing, goggles, gloves, suits, biohazardous kind of stuff, masks, gloves, etc., crawl spaces, attics. Attics is actually a really nasty place, and I got some cool pictures coming up. PPC is a pretty good investment, and most of it's pretty inexpensive. You're talking about clothing, gloves, masks, that type of thing. Make sense? Awesome.
What is the C? I thought it was an E.
Personal protection, yeah. You're right. I think I misspelled.
Okay.
Clo-
I just got a PC. I don't have PPC.
there you go. That'll work too. Politically correct? Okay. Closing and replacing doors. Okay, it's our job, at least our state standards say thou shalt remove the electrical panels, right? We've got to verify breaker size, wire size, a plethora of other problems, right? When you take that panel and set it on the ground and then go do something else, for the ladies, this is man code, right? If it's over your head, you have to jump and hit it, right? If it's round and fits in your hand, you have to throw it. It's just there. So, we as little boys, we see open electrical and, we do stupid stuff, in other words, all right? So replacing electrical panels is a pretty significant thing. And if you're doing new construction, that superintendent's going to tell you, do not walk away from that panel with it open, period. And they're very strict about it. So when you're doing like the new construction, we got to keep putting it back. Just quickly, at least maybe 2 screws, just so it doesn't fall off kind of thing, but at least put it back. The main panels, if I can take, hinge open the main door, remove the dead panel, and put that aside, I'll at least close that door. You know what I'm saying? At least so your kids don't come playing with it, spraying the hose in it. What if how many people have ever done this, from a friend, friend's perspective, left the electrical panel open, then hit the irrigation. Right? Yeah, that wouldn't be a good scenario. So close doors, and if you're going to do new construction, you have to, right? Yeah.
So if you have one that hinges at the top and it doesn't lock, you just rest it on your head?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've been doing this a long time. There you go.
You buy a panel pal. You know a panel pal?
A panel pal, no.
It's a little metal bracket that locks onto the top and it rests against the wall that's behind it, and it's produced by Philippe Heller. He's a San
Yeah.
Diego
Oh, yeah, we know Philippe.
He created it himself.
No
It's
kidding.
called a panel pal.
He's never said anything. All right, Philippe, I got to look that up, man. Beautiful. Panel pal, look it up. Speaking of panels, we all realize that they make certain screws for a reason, right?
They should look something like this, with a blunt end. Okay, who has not had the pleasure of replacing a screw and had that pow and scares the bejesus out? Yeah. You see stars? Yeah. Exactly. So these things are pretty cheap, and you can buy bags of them, right? I always have several. Back in the beginning, like I bought some, and then as you go through your career, you start finding one here, two there, and
You put them in the car?
yeah, put it right in your pouch. Only in Miami. That's how they do it in Miami. You start with 6 and leave with 4, he says. So when you see stuff like this, before I even approach that panel, that's a bit scary. I've had those where you remove them and the wire's already been nicked. You know, it's already touching or you remove it and it nicks it. So that is scary. So hang out or keep some of these the blunt tipped screws with you. Make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, mechanical. You know, everybody's got canned statements, right? Coils are soiled, recommend AC guy clean, something of that nature, right? This is actually pretty nasty stuff. There's all kinds of stuff that grows in there. Right? That is a bio nest of stuff.
So we should have been wearing a mask.
That's exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Actually, when I find them this nasty, this dirty, the function of the system is typically minimal on my part to prove stuff works, right? But I'm not running the AC the whole time. I won't do it when they're this disgusting. But I qualify it. The system was operated just to prove function. You know, we take amp draws, temp splits, line set, temps, those kind of things. That's our SOP. But when it's nasty like this, no. I don't want to breathe it. That's how you build immunity to COVID. That's how you build immunity to COVID. Or if you're trying to build immunity to COVID. Right? There you go. That's something else that's pretty nasty are rodents. Okay, rodents they carry hantavirus and all kinds of other stuff. I actually know a guy who he was older and he had other issues, but what pushed him over the edge was the hantavirus. He died. Okay, this was a re-inspect. The long story short, this was our $170,000 inspection because that's what she spent on the house. She had the inspection. She's discovering all this stuff. Hired us to go in and do another inspection, and it's like I'm not saying I'm super inspector, but like, dude, it was horrible. It was awful, and the ductwork was nasty. There are all kinds of rodents living in it. When they're living in it, right, they're defecating, they're urinating, they're making babies. They're doing all that stuff, and then you're breathing it. And yes, you can get hantavirus. Is it hanta or hanta? Pronounce hanta properly? Okay. Hantavirus. There you go. When we see penetration, I'm done. We have canned statements that says, interior conditions unknown. You might want to look into some environmental, some air quality assessment. If there's penetration, it's a replace. Period. End of story. And get a cat. Yeah. Yeah, but I would not see rodent holes and say recommend repair. Absolutely not. No way. A lot of it because of my personal experience. So penetration, nasty stuff. We're done. And on top of that, I'm going to say have the whole system sanitized and serviced. Now that also covers me if something else comes back. It's not working. Did you have it sanitized and serviced? Yes or no, right? So kind of a double-edged sword there, if you will. So penetration. Not all penetration is good. What? Inspection protection. That's right. That's right. BBC. Thank you. Ladders. Setting up ladders. This sounds, I know, so mundane. I get it. But bad stuff happens. It really does. This is why OSHA has a real standard. And OSHA says, thou shalt lean that ladder up with at least 3 feet. When it's down so low and you've got to bend way down like this, it's obviously it's not natural and it's dangerous to try to hold on and turn around and do all that stuff. If it's too tall, now I have to try to, do this kind of thing. That's dangerous as well. So 3 feet is what OSHA recommends. If your ladder is 2.5 feet, am I measuring anything? No. You get my drift. It needs to be a few feet high. So it's easy to, getting on is easy, right? It's the getting off that's really tough. There are actually, yep, there you go, there's the OSHA thing. Have you ever looked on the side of your ladder? Some ladders have a sticker. Because, ladies, this is for men, obviously. We need pictures. Because we ain't reading nothing until we've exhausted all other means of evaluation, right? Well, there's a picture of it, and it shows you how it's supposed to be set up. And matter of fact, I had a friend of ours, a fireman. This is exactly how they teach them. When you set it up against the roof up there, your feet are touching the front of it, so this is the perfect angle. Isn't that cool? So you never have to measure anything. We don't need any ladder pals or anything, this is it. And right on up. That should work just fine for you. Make sense? Awesome. Now, there's, another really cool thing that I learned from a fireman, where of course these guys are professional training in ladder safety and stuff, is when to have somebody hold, here, I'll hold this for you. Putting your foot up against the bottom, that ain't doing nothing. Well, here, I'll hold the ladder for you. No, you're not controlling anything like that. Actually, getting behind it, like this little guy, getting behind it and pulling it, right? That's going to keep it in place. That's much, much more effective. Make sense? That pretty cool? It's something else I learned that, I guess things like this vary by company. And RWS actually has a particular, not application, a particular procedure, if you will, on their ladder safety. It looks something like this. Am I right, Mike?
Not too far off. Mike's the one taking the picture. A little lower. Damn it, Tim.
Okay, what do you do when, say you don't have a drone and the ladder doesn't reach the top? How many people have climbed up on the first roof, pulled the ladder up and set it up to get to the second roof? Yeah, too many times. Too many times.
Not bad if you're straddling the ridge. If you're not in the field, if you're straddling the ridge, not going anywhere.
Right, makes sense, if you do this kind of thing, right?
All day, every day.
Yeah, that's pretty darn stable. It doesn't scare me a whole lot, but this does get dangerous. It's one thing, you can trust Michael, right? Can you trust the new guy? Not necessarily. So, a lot of us are scaling and constantly adding people. After what happened 2 weeks ago, I can no longer even tell anybody that I used to do this. I just keep my mouth shut. I've done some really strange things, put the ladder in the back of a truck to get up high. I've done things I'm not necessarily proud of, but this was just 2 weeks ago.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. Many of you know that we wear body cams, all right, which is a whole awesome subject. I'd be happy to have those conversations with you. I have story after story after story after story about how they have saved us. But that's not necessarily what I'm talking about today, but actually we could. What we caught on a body cam 2 weeks ago was our youngest guy, not necessarily our least senior, but our youngest guy. He's 21, newly 21. He had used the ladder to get up, pick it up on the first floor to get up to the second floor, and this is his body cam from this. Okay, like it was so timely that this happened right before here, and he sent this. So there he is. Did you see his ladder right down here? See it sticking up? So he's walking over to the ladder. As soon as he gets on the ladder, the whole thing comes out.
Holy shit.
Right? Right? Yeah. Yeah, thank God he wasn't hurt. You know, thank you, Lord, he wasn't hurt. But that's completely, totally real. We could not reenact that. He fell straight down and landed like this. At one point, you could see his hands right in front of him. So now, fear is good, right? Fear is good. You respect the gun. You don't do this kind of stuff, right? You respect the gun. So,
I shouldn't tell you this, but you take a 2x4 and you make it about 3 feet wide. You cover it with carpet, staple some carpet on so it's soft. You go inside to the window that's on the second floor. You put it across there. You have your ladder set up.
oh, wow.
And you take up one of those ratchet straps, like in
Yeah.
pile lumber, and you put it across the window. And it doesn't mark because it's got carpet on it.
Yeah.
You go around the 2x4 and then around one rung, ratchet it, it's not going anywhere.
That's a great idea. Did y'all catch that?
Basically bracing the inside of the
That's
frame.
right, you're
Yeah, it's just like
kind of like
the
the
guy
guy
in
off
front
on
of
the
you.
inside of the window. The ladder can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It just can't.
Yeah.
Oh, you're closing the window on.
No.
Window is, you're just bringing it to the frame.
Yeah, if this is the window, the 2x4 is going to be on the interior. The ladder's obviously at an angle here.
The window horizontal.
Yeah.
It'll also
Even
help
with,
you.
even with the rung on the outside, and you put the strap around, you ratchet, and it sucks it in. You don't want to ratchet too much, because you'll like suck that window and you'll bend your ladder.
Yeah.
It'll also help you to determine if the window is installed properly.
If the window pops out, yeah. Pours-
The whole wall. Recommend window replacement.
Yeah.
There's a guy in our Good thing I said his ladder.
Hold on, guys.
On a wet deck with the moss, and did the same thing to get up on the roof. When he stepped on it, the ladder slipped out. It wasn't damp, and there was a little bit of green moss on
Yeah.
it. And he broke his leg in 3 places. He was off for 8 months. We had to start a GoFundMe page for him
Wow.
and that kind of stuff. So
Spectre died 2 weeks ago.
now he don't want roofs anymore. He does everything by drone and ice stick. So
Nice.
he's
Yeah.
in his late 20s.
Where are you from?
Young guy. Chicago.
Chicago area. Wow.
Brad Brink, top member, and it happened to him 3 years ago. Ranch on a track stack. Slid out from under him and busted his seal.
Wow. There's a guy, some of you Florida guys may know the name Sabak. He was doing the same thing. He was on the second floor. When he got to the top, it slipped out. Of course, he hit the first floor roof, rolled off, hit the truck, rolled off, hit the concrete, and messed himself up pretty bad. And he was out for a long period of time. Now, how much did that cost?
Oh, yeah. The business he was.
Oh my God, how much business, right?
Not only that.
Business and future business,
Yeah.
right? A lot of business is born off of
Well,
it.
he had it on his website too, big bold, we walk every roof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have it.
Let's go. Delete.
He just changed the word. We fall off it. I was gonna say, this exact same thing happened to my inspector, Michael, like a month and a half ago.
Wow.
That exact same thing. What, him and I had talked about it, but what had happened, and he had been training this, but when you're dismounting, so you got your 3 feet above the roof line, when you're dismounting, if you put too much leverage on the top side of that, you're taking that leverage off, or that weight off the bottom of the ladder, and I think that's what he did, is he was trying to transition. He actually pushed too hard this way and kicked the bottom out.
Wow.
So when he comes in, boom, it dropped him, and he dropped to the second level.
Especially when you're using a lightweight aluminum ladder or something like that, it's easy.
He was
to do
using one of
fiberglass.
those extended climbs.
Yeah.
And
It's a big
It
deal.
would not be just a lot easier just not going to a second story roof? That's it.
It's much easier and cheaper now, right?
It's pretty counterintuitive. You always want to lean forward, you want to lean back. Because when you lean back on the top, it takes the toe end, it kicks it, it puts the weight in. It's science.
Good
And
point.
you
Very
always
good
wanna
point.
say to young guys, never step on a rung above the bearing point. So at the gutter, never step on a rung above the gutter. Always step on the one below the gutter. And when you have your hands at the top, not too much. You really kind of want to lean out. You don't want to lean forward because that kicks the toe end. It kicks the feet out.
Great points, man. You are full of wisdom.
I took a
I love
ladder
it.
safety class when I was way young
Ah.
at a cable company doing cable TV.
Actually,
There you go.
There was somebody in the organization who was teaching them that one time, and the guy got away from it. It was a really good I think it should have been a mandatory. You know, everybody takes it.
Very, very good point. Very, very good point. Okay.
It's the number one reason people get hurt.
Well,
Say
yeah.
thank you, Nathan.
Yeah. Thank you, Nathan.
You can make a cleat for the deck. If you ever put the feet on a deck, decks are usually slippery, at least in
Yeah.
Seattle, they're slippery. So you can take a 2x4 and you can put holes in it for a pin, and you can drop pins in it, and then that goes between the deck boards, and then that's your cleat to keep your feet from sliding out. It's really easy. Just take a 2x4, drill your holes.
Can you use the same one from the window?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Awesome.
You don't want the pin to be too big, because some deck boards don't have a lot of space in between them.
Mhm.
But you put a couple pins in and it'll drop between.
Yeah. This is really awesome, healthy conversation.
And this
I
will
love
be
it.
sold on inspectorshop.net too, so.
Yeah. 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 2x4, the Wickland version.
Yeah.
Rope up? You ever rope up?
No.
They do make one where you don't have to anchor the attachment to the roof. They have one you can drop down a 2-inch ABS DWP, drain waste vent. It's a piece of metal pipe that goes down, and then you can tie off there, if you ever needed to tie off.
You know, I have seen one, it's from the ladder at the eave, you push it up and it goes up and it
Oh, yeah.
clicks, or
There you go.
billy goat, yeah. It clings to the top of the ridge.
They make the same thing for firefighters, they clip out, it's the same concept as the billy goat, but it might be a little bit cheaper.
Awesome, fantastic.
It's always the best way to go, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good enough for fire.
Yeah, option 2 is like get a Part 1 of 7 license and a drone. Yeah, that's a lot safer. So, you know, who would, Jerry, you're the gun expert. Would you fire this one? Yeah, right. Look, fear is good, right? Fear is a healthy teacher. We're in Florida, and the vast majority of our roofs are asphalt shingle, so they're not that bad. But you know, ice to us are little twigs. That's like ice. You step on the little twigs and they roll. You know, so when there's debris up there, that's pretty dangerous as well. Bottom line is, if you don't feel comfortable, just don't do it. You know, us older guys, that all makes sense, right? We get it. Been there, done that. Been hurt a few times.
It's covered by your warranty.
Amen. I've fallen off the roof 4 times, and they're all my fault, right? And some of them because I was young and dumb and just had to, kind of thing. But and so I went many years, and then the last one was a little less than a year ago, maybe. It wasn't that long ago, and it hurt. It hurt pretty bad. It was a metal roof, and I walked right up to the top, no problem. And I got on a little, it was in the morning, had a little bit of condensation, and right on my butt, and there's nothing to grab. It was like slow motion, your life before you kind of thing, sliding all the way down. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna hurt. And I was going, yeah, I'm coming at the ladder, and I could actually see in my head legs getting tangled, you know, in the middle of the rungs and all this stuff. And I actually had the wherewithal, don't ask me how, it just happened, where I kicked the top of the ladder so it went out, so I didn't get my legs tangled, but then fell and landed on the ladder, you know, hands and knees. And oh, damn, that hurt for a long time. So, we got another one.
We teach our guys that if you're gonna traverse the roof, you should always enter and go up the valley, because you can go up the valley.
lower
We're called
pitch.
penguin, like you're a penguin.
Yep.
Go up the valley. And if you're gonna go across a ridge, you know, put one foot on either side of the ridge and penguin the ridge. If you have to go down to look at something further down, you're gonna go down the field, don't pick an open spot. Pick a place where there's a drain waste van or a skylight, something that you can catch.
Yeah, very good
Why
point.
would you go down where there's nothing to catch when you have a drain waste vent? If you need to get an angle and look, go down where there's a drain waste vent, because even if it's gonna rack you,
It's better than,
I'd rather get racked than fall off a damn roof.
yeah,
Always
amen.
go down where there's something to catch.
Amen. Always go down where you can grab onto something. Good one. Something else I wanted to add. This is old school. These things have been around forever. Cougar paws. Yeah, they ain't cheap, man. They are a bit expensive, but then how expensive is 8 months off?
Okay, keep things in perspective. It's an option anyway. Look into some. They got like clip-ons, and then they got the whole boot that you can buy, and they're not real cheap, but yeah, they're online. Go find them. Might be an option for you. One other thing, like Michael's talking about the penguin option, there's also the crab, which there you go. We have more points of contact. If you lose friction on one, at least you have 3 other as opposed to 2, and you know what I'm saying? So doing a crab walk backward, this actually was really, really good. Man, I can crab all over the roof like that. It's pretty easy. Gloves help a lot too. Yeah, especially when it's really hot. So that's Austin. That's actually the body cam fall guy right there. The right gloves.
Yeah, because it was before.
They have silicone spots on them. They're silicone, so because aluminum ladder doesn't rust, it oxidizes, so you come back and your hands are black. You don't have gloves on.
Yeah.
They put gloves on, but in Seattle it's wet, and so we get these gloves that have the silicone dots like you have on the non-slip.
Yeah.
You get the silicone dots on them. They're really sticky.
Yeah. In other words, there's good equipment out there too. Good gloves, silicone type. As far as walking on roofs, I'm sure most of you are familiar with you walk on the part where there's more stuff underneath your foot, right? Makes sense. If you're walking in the middle, there's less support than if you're walking here where the batten strips are. Make sense? Right? I'm sure you all get that. So I will quick demonstration. So here's a really nice, these are actually concrete tile made to look like clay, but how are you going to walk on this stuff? Well, this is a good example. You walk where it's doubled over. But you see where I'm walking, where there's more support under me? That's where the most support is. If I stepped in here, there's much higher probability of breaking something because there's less support, so we stay here. Make sense? All right, cool. Moving right along, when the dryer vent goes through the roof. Okay, let me back up. When you're putting a roof on, you get a box of gooseneck vents, right? They all come in a box. They're all the same. And you take one out of the box and you put it over here for the bathroom, and you take one over here and you put it on the dryer vent. Well, you got to remove that screen. If you don't remove the screen, it gets clogged up pretty fast. Make sense? And that's why if you ever have the lady goes, oh God, it takes hours and hours to dry all the clothes. Well, duh. You put a cap on the end of it there, right? Those screens have to be removed. So when we're up there, there's a good way to check these. And cigarette lighter is not one of them. See, all you got to do is like reach under and feel it, right?
Oh yeah, then there's a wasp nest. Yeah, then you get stung.
Oh, Tony ruined my surprise. Yeah, there you go. And you'll only do it once. And you'll never, ever forget again. Same thing with electrical panels. We have a macro-micro approach to everything we do. Whole other conversation. Well, one of the macros is just the big picture here. And part of it is looking, oh man, look at the size of that wasp nest. And that's where you go to the truck and get your spray.
The tops of propane tanks. Propane tanks, yeah.
Tops of propane, yeah. You don't do this, right?
Your client asks, why are you running? They ask what you're running. Oh, yeah. Start running with. You open up, you rip it, you start going, where are you going?
Yeah, don't ask. Have you guys ever heard of split sheathing? Split sheathing. Sheathing as in roof sheathing. Anybody ever heard of that? We've got at least one area, two little areas in Central Florida where we have split sheathing. A piece of sheathing looks like this, right? 4 foot by 8 foot, right? Split sheathing it's split, all right? And this was popular, God, I forget the years, but we're talking probably a 70s vintage stuff. I'm not going to say that it's illegal. We just don't ever see it anymore. But I know these areas, and our normal SOP, our normal protocol is start with a roof. These areas, no, you start with the attic.
Okay, because when you have split sheathing, if this piece is damaged, your foot goes right through it. And many people have had that. This is what it looks like. Good. Well, yeah, you see that one by here? You see the one by here? Can you all see that? I'm not. The underlayment, it typically looks like this. It's deteriorated, it's gone. Right? It's 30, 40, 50 years old, whatever. It's gone. And then you can see that each tile, the little lug catches on, and then lug catches on. So you have that. So what if that knot were rotted, and you go step on that, and then you go through, shred your leg, and then now they needed a whole new roof, right? Because you damaged it, and you can't get those. It goes downhill really fast. In other words, you know what I'm saying? So split sheathing. Nobody's ever seen this? Okay, now it's looking familiar. Okay, we call it split sheathing. Split, skip, same difference. You get it, right? That's what it looks like. Yeah, this is definitely old school.
You used to use it for like the wood shakes and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, we don't have wood roofs. None, because they rot. It's Florida. But in some of your northern states, I bet you might see that a lot on wood shingle roofs. Yeah, good point. And slate too? Wow, okay. Have you heard of FRT? This is not fart. Somebody always says fart. Yeah. Flame retardant treated plywood, FRT. This was an 80s vintage thing. When you have units that are together, or you have units that are close together, there's ways of keeping the flames and fire from going from one to the other. All right, there's a lot of things on the list that you do. One of the things is FRT, flame retardant treated plywood. So when you have, say, townhouses or multiplexes, that kind of thing, on each side of the firewall, you come out 4 feet with this flame retardant treated plywood. They take plywood and they dip it in magic chemicals and they pull it out, and it keeps the wood from bursting into flames, right? Makes sense. Well, in the 80s, there was a whole bunch of this bad stuff, and it's not hard to distinguish. It often looks like, don't have a good picture here, it often looks like a piece of brand new plywood that was bought at Home Depot next to a Hershey chocolate bar. I mean, you can't miss it, right? You don't have to be any kind of expert. It's painfully obvious. And you could take a piece like the top left, and you can break it in your fingers. It's pretty easy. It becomes that brittle. This is some of the salts coming out. It looks like here. Here it looks like somebody went and stepped on it, right? So your cable guys, your Frisbee retrievers, your tenants. If you had a house like this that you're renting, teenagers, you better put something in your agreement. Do not get on this roof because, right? Something to think about. Know your areas. I know where these places are. There's several distinct neighborhoods. I know exactly what's up there, and we don't start on that roof. We start on the inside, and you can see. And it's because it's the flame retardant treated thing. It's not the entire roof. It's each side of the firewall. So you can still walk the rest of the roof, but you got to be real careful there. Speaking of attics, you should. This is not Austin. This was actually. This could have been. What was his name?
Is that an inspector? Did you find that?
This one I nabbed off the internet, but this did happen to us. I was up with the guy we were training. Ed. Yeah, Ed. Ed is built like he's a bodybuilder, but he's short. But the guy is stocky, and I mean, he was right in front of me, stepped right off, and it's so fast. It's not like you can catch him. Even if I did, he'd have taken me with him. He fell, caught himself on trusses. He's hanging on trusses, and then muscled his way back up. But anybody want to venture a guess how much? And I'm talking a hole about yay big. How much does this cost to fix?
Is this the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I tell you the seller was a real estate agent? $3,341.20.
Wait, what?
Because you had to
Oh, she wanted the light fixtures were being replaced. The entire 3-car garage was being retextured, repainted. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. It cost me $600 in the end, but it's a whole other story. You should always have 3 points of contact, right? You know, I get it, you have a flashlight in one hand, so at least 3. If one slips, you've got 2 others. So always 3 points of contact.
That happened to me, well, not to me, one of my points.
Oh, fell through?
100% degree, the attic was 135, 140. I thought, he was an apprentice, and I thought, don't get into the attic. He wanted to do his job, when I told him not to go inside, he went inside, he fainted.
Oh.
He said he had it. So me and the owner, we have to open the ceiling to pick him up.
Wow. Wow, his guy fainted, passed out there. That actually happened to us. Brad had something happen. He was stuck, and I had to drive to his place, and he's calling me the whole time. Where are you? Where are you? I'm on my way.
We have old houses and they don't all use 2x4s. They get these 1x8s, real thin pieces of wood. And this was in my own house. And as I stepped on the top of a piece of the wood, it cracked off. And I went through over a stairwell. And this was a long time ago. I didn't even have a cell phone. It took me about 40 minutes to get out of the hole because every time I moved, the flash would crack.
Oh, my
You can
God.
ask my wife, I got home and she goes, where the fuck have you been? You don't fucking want to know.
This is effing being recorded.
That was Hank Richter.
But if you, the old houses, a lot of the spacing's a lot different and the wood's a lot different.
Yeah, very good point, which is one of my next points is a pre-step. Right? Test it out before you put your full weight on it. That's not hard, right?
Make sure it's not PVC.
Make sure it's not a sprinkler system, exactly. Actually, we had a guy, his name was Phil. He bought a company I used to work for. He was in the attic, stepped on a knot. You know, they don't use grade A wood for these rat runs, right? It's just caca wood. And he stepped on that knot. It wasn't rotted or anything, and went through, landed on the staircase, broke his back. He was out for I don't know how long time. Now that was nearly devastating for him. So how about a pre-step? Good. There's actually there's a lot of good attic gear that you can purchase: bump helmets, gloves, the right kind of gloves, knee pads, on and on and on. There's a lot of stuff, right? Matter of fact, I was talking with Mike right before, when I was preparing this before I go to do this, and he was telling me about on the inspectorshop.net. There's all kinds of attic equipment that you can purchase, and I was like, oh, that's great. So I went and looked it up, and so you guys, there's all kinds of safety gear on inspectorshop.net. Okay. One thing that we use is a chest bag. I found this to be extremely helpful. Okay, for many, many years, we always wear cargo shorts, and you could pull stuff out of your pockets, and it was awesome. You find yourself sometimes you're squatted down, and you can't pull your tools out, and it was difficult. So we went with a chest bag. This was the first one I ever bought, and it was like $9. I'm not kidding. I bought it to test it out. And it slings around there, and I got all my tools here. So camera would come out, MT6 for measuring nails, and all my tools could come out here easily, as opposed to trying to pull it out of my pants and that kind of thing. So chest bag, check those out. We bought some new ones now. What do you call those? What do you call the military chitin with all the? They're molly bags, but it's big. It's about this big. So it's got a strap around both sides and a strap around here. What I found with this little sling bag, it would constantly shift, and it worked, okay? But it would shift with this, and it looks cool too. It's black. It looks like militia. I get all geared up, mask and all this gloves and pads, and this big molly bag and tools stuck to it, and it looks cool.
Some other options would be they make that for wildland firefighters too,
Chest rigs.
Are specific for that. Yeah, they have a ton of different pockets, but they go a 4-point around you too.
Awesome. Yeah, so you got some options. Look into those. You'll love them. Trust me.
We've been using chest packs for a long time. The smoke jumpers wear them. Motorola makes one if you want a real small one, if you don't really want a big one. But Motorola makes them, and that's the first one we had is smoke jumpers because they have a spot right for their Motorola radio, and then a couple other packs. But then that wasn't quite enough. So then I went to fly fishing. They have a chest pack like if you're wading out, and those work pretty good. I don't want it to be too big, but we've used those for a long time. And at first everybody, I don't want that. It's gonna be too big. It's gonna be too much. After you use it for a while, you're like, how did I deal without it?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things like, how did I ever do without this? It's awesome. Yeah, you'll love them. Another thing that I find absolutely indispensable is a headlamp. Yeah, it might look a little goofy. Some of them are real small. Don't get the little tiny ones. Something bright. Dude, I've got one. It's got three, that looks like 3 toilet tube rolls sticking out of my head right here. So it's got multiple, you crank all 3 of them up at the same time, and it is bright. So often, especially like a fresh charge, man, I don't even have my flashlight. Now I have 4 points of contact as I'm going through, and everywhere you look, that's where it's pointed, right? You will love, love, love a headlamp. Those things are awesome. Tools, so I can see everything. Definitely look into some of those. Like we mentioned before, gloves. In Florida, it's hot. 10 months of the year, it's hot. We also have splinters, and from wood trusses and those kind of things. Gloves are a absolute must-have. The older you get, the wiser you get, right? Knee pads, gotta have knee pads. I've before, had them, left them in the washing machine and gone to work without them and regretted it terribly because it hurts. It's hard crawling through. Knee pads are awesome. You've also you always have the Tyvek type of option. Tyvek I found to be hot. What I got was, you remember Army Navy stores when those things were around, right? I went and got a camo set of coveralls that are just bad to the bone. I mean, I feel cool anyway. I feel like some kind of combat pilot or something, the camo. Anyway, those are options. Voltage sniffer. Oh my God, if you're not taking your voltage sniffer in the attic and in the crawl space, I highly recommend it, right? You can, and I'm not going to argue, well, they suck, they don't work that well, they're not reliable. Look, trust me, something that you can pull out real quick and see if a wire is hot, it comes in very, very handy, and I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about here in a sec. Y'all ever use Cinnamon Crunch for... Okay, this was funny when I put it together. Thank you. Okay, vermiculite. If you're not wearing a mask, oh my God, why? Why wouldn't you? You come across stuff like this. Yeah, as long as it's undisturbed and nobody's messing with it, it's not like that it's unsafe because it exists, right? When you're crawling through it and crunching it and all this other stuff, be careful. Look for vermiculite. Asbestos, right? You know what I'm talking about. That one I had, and I understand. I get it. All our standards say this is a visual. I think that's ignorant. I have found more stuff by moving, just taking a look. It wasn't difficult to move insulation over, all right, and then identify. Can you imagine not identifying vermiculite? Because, ladies, this is what happens, right? Most contractors are men, and the whole testosterone thing kicks in, and they come in and go, your home inspector's an idiot. This is obvious. You can see it, right? Yeah, he has no idea what he's doing. And they're like, yeah, that's right. And he should be paying for all this. So we move stuff all the time. Insulation, no problem.
EPA says to leave it alone.
Yeah, I get it. We're not talking about remediation, but I'm just talking about discovery. Okay, I'm sure Jerry knows the John Chichilla story. They intentionally concealed problems. It was documented on a previous inspection. They intentionally concealed it. Their guy, it looks good. He still had to pay in court. It's another story I'll be happy to tell you later on. Any pest control operators? At least one. Pest control operators? Or people really familiar with chemicals, right? What do you call that stuff again? The pixie dust? No. Now I forgot the name of it. See?
Delta dust. No, Delta.
No, it's track something. So when the rodents crawl through it, you can track them. Maybe that's a geographical name. Anyway, poison them. This is not pixie stick dust stuff, not sugar. All right. Be aware of chemicals that are being used. You know, we will constantly get training by certified pest control operators, and they warn you, you know, chemicals bad, don't breathe, mask, gloves, all this stuff. And it's almost rare to find the termite guys, you know, crawling with you in the attic that have a mask on. Like, really? Are you stupid? Anyway.
Is everybody on the P100? Like, has anybody found a mask that's a little bit, you know, I mean, we've got the P100s, but it's like a fabric filter and it just gets all wrapped up really fast.
There's actually a really good training course by 3M. Training course is a strong word, training module or whatever, and they talk about if this is your use, you're exposed to this, then this filter. If you're exposed to this filter, and it walks you through.
That's how we arrived at the P100. It's just
Okay.
a great option. Now you can't get them.
Yeah, I know, getting masks now are tough. Back to rodents. You know, when you see that the wiring's been chewed, if I can visually identify one spot, I don't know if it exists in 100 others. Right? Yeah, one or more. See representative pictures of what I found, and then you have the electrician go fix it all. Bam, done, right? Liability gone. I was crawling through one time. It was a nice small spot, and it was like challenging. So like I can fit through that. And as I'm crawling through, there was a nicked wire from rodents, and it touched my skin. And I didn't have very far to go. It's just, you know, this kind of thing as fast as I could. You know, an instant reaction. Oh my God! And trying to get back out and get bit again. Rodents are dangerous. They're very, very dangerous. And here's more evidence. You know, the insulation on the gas line. So I don't care if I don't have a CPCO license, certified pest control license, or a JE card to do inspections. I note rodents. And sue me. I don't care. I fear somebody getting hurt or somebody dying from hantavirus. How'd you say it? Hantavirus? Whatever it is, more than I fear somebody, being upset. You called it a mouse and it's a rat. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's what we were talking about earlier, Michael and I. Call it a rodent and you're good, right? Vermin, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. This one I had actually put in there, hey, you got a dead squirrel up there. And this poor young lady is like freaking out. She goes, oh no, you go get it. Not my job. And she talked me into it, and we went back in there and got it. What's that?
Shouldn't wear a half face.
Shouldn't wear a half face?
Your eyes are wet gland.
Yeah.
Your eyes absorb things.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
You can get stuff right through your eyeballs.
Yeah, we learned that with the COVID. It can go in your eyeballs just like it can go in your mouth or your nose, right?
Are you wearing safety glasses plus a half mask, or are you wearing a full face?
Full face.
Yeah.
Another one that we have a lot of, snakes. I have more than once, at least 3 times that I can think of right now in my head, watched a snake vertical straight up a wall into the attic. Honestly, there's one right there. Yeah. That one on the right is my house. I'm like, oh my God. She sat in the car. You go get it. But I've found more snakes in the attic than I have in a crawl space. Way more, believe it or not. You know, they go up there chasing rodents. So when you see rodents, there's also the possibility you got, a predator chasing the food source. Right, so keep your eyes out for those. We talked about feces a little bit. You know, feces can be really bad, and it can be all the biological stuff and ingesting and that kind of thing. But it can also get real expensive. Anybody ever price a house where they got to come vacuum all the insulation and all the feces out and reapply insulation? It's several dollars per foot. It gets real expensive.
So, we use the terms like see representative pictures. So depending on the severity, however you type it, right? Feces noted here, there, and or throughout, or whatever the severity is, right? See representative pictures. It's a thousands game. Exactly. So when the pest control guy or whoever's doing that work comes out and gives them a sticker shock, he's like, not my job, man. Right? Have the pest control guy evaluate for how much. What's the biggest poo you guys have ever found in an attic?
I found almost 150 pounds of raccoon poop.
Dude, that's the biggest poo I've ever found.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, got one.
It's the contractor's 5-gallon bucket up there that you don't find.
Yeah, there you go. When it comes to water heaters, the vast majority of ours are electric. Okay, we check every element. All right, there's no other way to prove that they work. Just because the hot water's coming out of the tap does not mean that both elements work. So we personally put your amp meter on it. If you got a body cam, I can prove it, or I take a picture if I don't have a body cam, whatever. But I can prove that the elements work. All right, I understand this is above and beyond standards, but I'm not interested in being every other inspector, because if you're every other inspector, right, there's no differentiator there. So we check both. And there was a real good reason to do that. I pulled that bottom one off. It's fried. I'm done. That was easy. No one can ever accuse me of missing anything on the water heater, because hey, it's 12 years old. It's burnt. It's fried. Look, leaky tanks are not a repair item. All right, when the tank leaks, you're done. It's done. So that was an easy one. Put the cover back on, and done. I just saved myself several minutes. There's one that wasn't a leaky tank. It was just condensation forming inside, and look how rusty and nasty that is. This one is a true story right here, and this is funny. And if Brad knew I was putting this in here, he might shoot me. But garage doors. We all know that there is a real test, an approved test, the 2x4 test, right? We have personally chosen not to do those. It's another conversation. Brad, what he was doing is hitting the button, and you go over there and you just do your foot in front of the eyes, and it wasn't going back up. And he kept doing this, waiting for it, and he's got steel toe shoes, and that steel toe thing got caught underneath the door there. And which leads me to another point. Rollers, before you ever hit that button, do a visual. Are all the rollers actually in the track, right? Are they broke? Are they, what kind of condition they're in?
Or it's locked.
Make sure they
God, that's another story. We had one where Ronnie, our most senior guy, does his initial approach, and he's looking at it and he's going, whoa. This roller is off, and this one's broken, and whatever issues there were, and he's not gonna hit that button, right? He tells everybody, he discloses everything, lets them all know, and then Sarah was the termite lady. She's known as the termite. She calls herself the queen. Queen bee, that's right. Queen bee goes out there to do the termite, and nobody says anything. Same people still there, and she goes out and hits the button because that's what she's got to do. She's inspecting everything. She hits that button, and it fell down. And here's this, her arm's about this big. And she's standing under there screaming, help me, holding this door up. And they came out, what did you do? Oh, my God. And she's like, I just hit the button. You broke it. Sound familiar? Right? She knew that we had done the inspection before because we were the ones that recommended the buyer use her. And she called Ronnie, and I was with Ronnie. And she goes, man, I'm at this house in the garage door. He goes, yeah, I know. She said, what do you mean you know? Well, because I did my pre-check, and I told them. She goes, you told them? Yes. They all knew. They let her do it and then tried to pin it on her.
We had one, my guy didn't notice that they had wedged a 2x4 up at the top of the door when it was closed. And the reason they do that is so that people can't come in from the outside and unhook it.
Yeah.
And when we went to go and put up the garage door, the top panel snapped right in the middle.
Oh, dang, that sucks.
I had a buyer open a door that was locked. The garage opener actually came off the ceiling and smashed the ceiling with mint 1975 classic Corvette.
Okay, now it got your attention. We talked about cars, and the guys go, whoa. Cars, now I get it.
Why didn't you mention? Who cares about a foot?
John, you plug them in if they're not plugged in?
What's that?
If it's unplugged, you plug it in and test it.
Oh, if it's unplugged, do we test it? It depends. It always depends.
It was out there and it's unplugged and the buyer goes, are you gonna plug that in and test it? No. What am I paying you for? You gotta really hassle them. Okay, plugs it in, tests it, door goes up, stops, falls on the seller's Corvette.
Oh, another Corvette.
That's why they don't plug things in. Not plugged in.
There you go. Not plugged in. Good one. All right, we're almost done here, guys. Just a few more slides. Some miscellaneous things that I had thought of. Before you ever go turn stuff on, look underneath, right? The stove, whatever it is, especially sinks. People do bad things and disconnect things, and so always look before you turn water and that kind of thing on. Don't turn on, there you go. Don't turn stuff on if it's off. It might be off for a reason, right? If the water main is off, there might be a reason why. Yeah, get the agent to turn it on. Right?
Flood a kitchen. Not to plug things in or unplug them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my inspectors a couple of weeks ago checked the sump pump, and it was working fine. And we picked up the radar test 2 days later, and everything was fine. And the guy calls us up and said he wants $20,000 his basement flooded because he unplugged and plugged in the sump pump. You do it though, And if you unplug things, then there's a repercussion of that kind of stuff. That's why standard practice says don't do those things.
There's a repercussion for doing these things. Phil's saying, yeah.
We've had stuff like that with water, gas, or electric, and somebody really wanted us to test it, and we tell them we can't. Have the realtor call the owner, have the owner text me and say that we have permission.
There you go. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work too. I don't disagree there. There we go. Never. I guess I don't need to say anything more.
Or looking for Cujo's byproduct.
Yeah. Look down. Look up.
Hey, John, I did a house on a bad part of town, and I heard something next door, and it was a Rottweiler that was chained to a stove, and he was.
What are you from, Ohio or something?
Yeah, Ohio is the Florida of the North. The dog came after me and jumped the fence. The only thing that saved him was he couldn't pull the stove over the fence. Yeah, I mean he was dragging the full-blown stove. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So always look. Always yell. Same thing with crawl spaces.
Well,
I don't go in before I.
Chained up indoors, wasn't it?
No. He was. No, you start. Yeah.
Yeah. Never. Don't enter anything without looking first. Okay. Back up a little bit. We talked about you check the dryer vent on the roof like this, right? Not without looking or somehow first. Same thing in crawl spaces. We got wasps everywhere. We got that hole. I do the, as best I can looking for wasp nests and those kind of things.
Everybody who's got a crawl space in the well, do you take a stick or something and stir the leaves to make sure there's not a snake underneath it?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Poke around. If crawl spaces are wet, the obvious biological hazardous stuff that's in the water, plus something can become energized. Wasn't too long ago, Brad was in a crawl space and touched a termite shield on the top of the foundation wall. It was energized. How the heck did that thing get energized? There was a nick from a rodent, something somewhere. It touched that, energized it, and he was just checking stuff and psst, like, ow. Yeah. And was it last night? Oh no, this reminds me of a story. Like Hank says, what Cujo left behind, right? So I get to this house first, and I start on the roof by myself. So I'm way up here on the roof, and the agent pulls up. I come down to the eave. Hey, I'm John. Nice to see you. He's like, I'm Tony. Whatever. I'll go ahead and open it up for you. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll be down just a sec. So I finish my thing on the roof, and I go up to the front door, and there's a left foot right across the carpet, because he crossed the yard and stepped in the dog poo and then drug it on inside. And I'm like, thank God it wasn't me.
That's a true story. We had, oh my God. Well, how much time do I have? Because I don't know how many stories I can tell. And, oh, wow. Wow, I can't believe we've gone this long. Then I'll go straight to body cams. Guys, if you don't have my highly, highly, highly recommend body cams, we've had people say, you broke all these roof tile. Nope, there's audio and there's video. Getting on the roof, and you're talking and going, dang, broke. Oh, look at that one slip, broke. The conversation, it's over. Okay, people wanting us to pay for stuff. One guy that says, you broke a bunch of glass vases and glass flowers in the garage, and you got to pay for them. No, we didn't. Yes, you did. First of all, he had his agent call and said, I can't believe you guys did this, and didn't say anything. And no, here's the body cam video. Here you go. Sorry. Goes away. Then the seller calls the buyer's agent and says, you guys have to return it the way you found it. You owe me money. And then they're calling, John, what the hell did you do? Oh, no. Here's your body cam video. And then he calls. He called 3 times on one day. You did it. No, we didn't. You did it. No, we didn't. Here's the video. He did not care. He's still going to argue this. Here's the video of us doing the stuff and leaving and all that. And then he still went on social media. They suck. They broke a bunch of stuff. Anyway, body cams. Body cams, guys. Please get a body cam.
Post a video on social media? Yeah. No, we didn't. Here's the video. Watch the entire thing.
Bam, there you go. The one and only time that I had to pay our deductible is before we got the body cams. And this was a very large house, and it had a real boat house. It was a house that was a boat on the lake. Glass floor, the whole 9 yards, pool table. It was bad to the bone. We always do infrared last because you flushed every toilet, run every shower, right? Obvious. I personally did the infrared. Part of that SOP is under every sink, right? We look. He said we flooded the boathouse. No, we didn't. Yes, you did. No, we didn't. I did it. It's this argument. And he got an attorney, and our attorney goes, yeah, we can defend you. We have no proof, and it's going to cost you this. If you pay your deductible, it'll cost you this, and it goes away tomorrow.
Are you wearing like chest rigs, body cams?
Yeah, right here, Cam Pro.
You just having your inspectors download it at the end of the, or upload it at the end of the day?
Yeah, they just save it. We don't give it to anybody. We don't do anything.
They give it to you, like they send it.
Nah, not right now.
They send it on their own.
Yeah, just saving it, yeah. There you go. Check your feet before entering the house. That was my story. Man, you smell gas. Grab the agent by the hand and take them over and show them stuff. We got to this house. I'm on the roof. I can smell gas. I'm like, my God, where's that come from? And I look around the corner, and there's a gas water heater, mounted wall mount. Wow. Obviously, something's wrong. Agent gets there. Smell the gas? Yeah, I smell the gas. Something's wrong. Okay. So she calls the listing agent. I'm standing this close to her. She's talking to her. Yeah, the inspector got here and noticed there's a gas smell. And I could hear her. She says, so the inspector broke it? Seriously? No. So they had to get the gas guy. In our area, if you call a gas guy and say, hey, we smell gas, they're there half an hour. No more than half an hour. And he comes out with his sniffer. Our sniffer was, I don't know, $150, $200. His is $6,000, right? It's bad to the bone. And he comes out and he goes, yeah, you got a component in there that's bad, whatever it was. He shuts it off, said, have a nice day. And they were all upset at me. No. Anyway. Disinfection, sanitization. Hey, here's something to think about, okay? We have a guy in our area that goes in and he fogs the entire house prior to the inspection and immediately after. No one can ever blame him for something. It protects his people. Yes, it costs a little bit of money. And at first I thought that's labor intensive. That's material. But he's actually built business from it. Other agents are telling each other, especially when the COVID thing was like really scary, they're calling him just because of that. So something to think about. Body cams, dash cams. You got to get a dash cam too. If you don't have a dash cam, you got to get a dash cam. And you got to have one out the front, and you got to have one out the back. All right? Here's Brad.
there's two turn lanes like this, right?
Yeah, Brad?
Poor Brad. So Brad's next to this lady. They turn. He goes to make an immediate left. Well, she's behind him back this way, and they rub. Okay? So he's got a small dent and a bunch of rubber. And he just kind of poof, pop it back out, no big deal. She sues him for $100,000. She's got a broken hand. And like, there was no impact. You know, the police are there, and it's he said, she said, and he ran into me, she ran into me. You know, there's no proof. Had he had he had a dash cam. Had he had it on, he could show his cars in between the lines and proven it. Because of the way insurance companies work, they go, yeah, we can fight it, but it's going to cost you this. If we write her a check for $10,000, it goes away. And he had to write, his deductible. Done. Some bonus tips, and this came from Michael. We were talking earlier, and I'm like, wow, these are really freaking cool ideas. When you take the screws out of an electric panel, what do you do with them?
Drop them and lose them.
Drop them and lose them. Yes. Over and over and over again, right? So the guy's got magnets. They're like earth magnets, strong ones. You put it on there, you do a screw, stick it. And it sticks there. I go, God, that is genius. How simple is that? Pretty cool, huh?
They got magnets that go on the tip of your screwdriver, so when you move the screw, it doesn't fall, it stays stuck to your
Yep, magnetic tip screwdrivers. These are all Michael Wicklund courtesy. Thank you very much. You know how hard it is to get sanitization or what's that? Lysol wipes or similar. Okay, how about buying baby wipes that you can get and pouring some alcohol or some chemical of your choice, right? Some kind of sanitization, bleach, whatever it is, right? Jack Daniels. We won't say who said Jack Daniels, but great tip, great idea. And tidy tracks. This was something Michael's telling us about. They're like clip-ons for your shoes, but yeah, step in, step out, kind of like ski boots.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Bam, you guys already know. Beautiful. I love it. So thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that. I really appreciate you guys coming, and I think hopefully, we've gone over a whole bunch of stuff, and we've gone a bit over time, but I think it was a very, very good and healthy talk, and I think now everybody's going to realize that safety is really sexy, right? No, come on. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.